Let me first welcome everybody to the VSAC Student Voices Listening to Vermont's High School Students session. This is the first of a two-part series. Next week, we're doing a session with adults on a very similar topic, but I'd like to really welcome this panel that we have put together. These are students from across the state of Vermont that have taken the time out today to talk a little bit about their career and education planning so that we can learn from their experience, so that we can see what's working really well for them, how they're making their decisions, and where there are opportunities for us to make the system more accessible, more usable, more successful for them. So we're going to start with just an opportunity for the students to introduce themselves, where they're from, and maybe a little bit about where they are in their career journey right now. And then we'll get into some of the questions. I would encourage any of our participants who are listening in to throw any questions into the Q&A if you have something you'd like to hear the students speak to. About halfway through, if any of the legislators have had the opportunity to join us, if you'd like to join us live and be promoted to a panelist so you can interact with the students and ask your questions directly, just raise your hand when I give that prompt a little bit later, and our technical person will promote you to panelist, and you'll be able to be part of the panel with us. But for now, let's start with some introductions. Melody, would you mind sharing with everybody who you are and where you're from and where you are in your journey?
Hi, so my name's Melody. I'm from Canaan, Vermont. It's a very small town, basically right next to Canada. I am a high school senior, so it's inching very close to my college career path. Right now, I'm not like 100% certain on what I would like to do, but I'm definitely looking into the field of dentistry. Our school offers school to work based programs where we can attend work sites and kind of see what they do. So I'm currently doing one at our local dentist in our area, which is really nice because it gives me a better feel on whether that is or isn't what I want to do. So that's really helpful. And then also being in programs which are helping me kind of decide what I want to do and taking certain classes. I'm definitely looking at St. Anselm right now because they have a pre-dentistry program, which is like only 3-ish hours from here. So it's not too bad.
Thank you, Melody. Welcome. Let's go to Lee next.
Me?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, I'm Leah Wheeler. I live in Newbury, Vermont. I go to Oxbow High School, and I also take the health science program at Riverbend Career and Technical Center. And I'm planning on becoming a certified nurse midwife. I've been looking at a couple of colleges. First, I plan on getting my RN and then working in labor and delivery. So far, I've been accepted to Norwich University and Liberty University in Virginia. And I just also got accepted to UVM on Friday as well.
Congratulations, that's great.
Thank you.
Charlie.
Hey, I'm Charlie Wallace. I'm from Huntsville, Alabama, but I live in Richford, Vermont. I plan on attending Johnson, UVM, or CCV. I am choosing an education pathway to become an art teacher. I'm already working at Richford Elementary School in the after-school program, so I'm doing little crafts with the kids every week, and so hopefully that'll give me some experience for that. Yeah, I'm just excited for getting to do that, hopefully. I haven't been currently accepted yet by any of the colleges I applied for, but hopefully I will be hearing back from them.
Great. I'm sure it's only a matter of time. Thank you, Charlie. Bella, would you introduce yourself?
My name is Bella, and I am from Barrie, Vermont, and I go to Spalding High School as a senior. And right now, I've gotten accepted to a couple of Vermont schools, and I'm hoping to either take a path of engineering and art combined and possibly a future in architecture.
Awesome. Thank you, Bella. Thanks for being with us. would you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Hannah Lane. I go to Brattleboro Union High School and I'm a senior as well. So far, I've been accepted to a couple of my schools, which I'm very excited about. I'm in my school's ISA program, which is International Studies Academy. So I'm hoping to do some traveling and maybe studying abroad in school, as well as right now, my path is set towards history, but I'm not entirely sure what I want to do with that yet. So it's kind of exploring that in school.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Reagan.
All right. Hi, I'm Reagan. I am a high school senior at Enosburg Falls High School, but I'm spending technically my school year doing early college here at NVU Johnson, and hopefully I'm going to get into education here next year, but as of right now, I don't have a major. So yeah.
Thanks, Braden. Braden.
Hi, my name's Braden Bixby, and I currently go to Mill River Union High School. I'm a senior, and I'm into fire science. I want to be a firefighter. I am accepted by Lakes Region Community College, and that's what I'll be attending in the fall.
Thanks for being here, Braden. Jasmine.
Hi, I'm Jasmine Mooney. I currently go to the St. Johnsbury Academy. I plan to major in engineering and minor in equine studies, so like horses. I got accepted to multiple colleges, so I'm just trying to decide between two at this point. Outside school, I have 2 jobs and I work with horses at one of them. And I'm just taking my basic classes, and I took 3 courses through SNHU that'll hopefully transfer over to my college. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Jasmine. So we've got a range of interests, that's for sure, and a range of different paths that sounds like you guys were all kind of exploring. I would love to start just talking about how did you end up getting the idea for that particular career focus? When did you start kind of settling in on that career focus? Why? Is there a Vermont connection in there at all? I'll just leave it wide open. Anybody that wants to start on that.
Yeah, I decided to go into fire science because from a young age, I was always growing up at the fire station and just living around the fire station. And I decided I wanted to further my education in fire science, and I wanted to help the youth, the younger firefighters coming up. So I decided to go to New Hampshire, which is one of the best colleges in New England for fire science.
Great. That's cool. Thank you.
I'm not 100% certain, but the reason I'm going on the path towards dentistry is I've always dealt personally with my own teeth, and going to like all these orthodontist appointments and dentist appointments, I've always found it like very interesting on how they like have all these techniques that they do and how they can just help somebody go from like a smile they're not confident with to a smile that they are happy with. So I'm definitely looking more towards like the orthodontist side of dentistry, and I just think it's really interesting and a different route on the medical route because it's based more on somebody's mouth, not on their like surgery on somebody's body or anything like that.
Go ahead, Hannah.
I've had a big passion for history since middle school and elementary school, as well as just leadership and extracurriculars and clubs throughout that. So I've been on like a lot of my restorative justice and student leadership panels, and then student council and the vice president of that. And it's always been one of my favorite things to do. And so with history, I've been able to take a lot of really cool classes at my school. And the more classes I've taken in history specifically, the more I've enjoyed it. So I'm not entirely sure, like I said, what I want to do with history, but I want to go broad for now. And the reason I decided history as a major, which is what I signed up for most of my colleges, is because I want to kind of pinpoint it and get more into that. And it opens up the door for law school, as well as just joining government or politics, which I'm very interested in.
So when I was in about 6th grade through 8th grade, I had an art teacher that I really loved. She
Did everybody else lose Charlie's audio? Bummer.
what I knew I could do, and that helped me a lot because she believed I could do better than what I was doing, and that helped encourage me. And she taught a class at a community college, and I got the opportunity to sit in and listen and learn new things on a college level for a day. And I thought I want to be like her and teach people, whether it's kids or middle schoolers or elementary school kids. I just wanted to teach. And so I got my Red Cross certification in babysitting, and then I started watching kids more and babysitting them. And I have 8 siblings, so I've grown up around younger kids my whole life.
Thanks, Charlie. Go ahead, Reagan.
I also want to go into the education field, but I am really bad at art, so I'm not going to do that. I want to go into the English field. I had a teacher who was very influential on my life. And before, I didn't really want to be a teacher because, I don't know, it just didn't seem like a great idea. But the more I thought about it, I was like, oh, I can help kids like he helped me. So that's my plan so far. Maybe it'll change, but right now that's what I want to do.
So let me take this to maybe kind of morph this question just a little bit, because a lot of the examples you all have shared are kind of connect to personal experiences or people that you've kind of come in contact with and that have influenced you and kind of piqued your interest in an area. Do you think you've had enough different people in your lives that kind of shown you experiences about working in nursing or working in education or working in the firehouse or working in engineering? Is it better to have, do we have enough ways to present jobs and careers to youth? Or is that is it kind of by chance that you've had those experiences, or are those intentional experiences somehow? Jasmine?
I think it's definitely a hard question to answer because I know a lot of people have that experience, and I think that experience is like part of the path that they're supposed to take. But as far as for me, all of my friends, none of my friends wanted to do engineering. They don't like math, they don't like science. So I wasn't really influenced by like anyone specific. And none of my friends liked horses. Like I had to get into that like outside school on my own. But it was really like hands-on projects at school and teamwork with my peers that I had that really got me into engineering. So I think people do have like a huge part as far as in what you choose to do. So I guess it's hard to leave out the personal experience part of it. But yeah, as far as like influenced by friends, I'm not really.
Charlie?
So going along with what Jasmine said, it is somewhat personal experience, but I feel like it's both. Like I did get certified in babysitting, and that helped, and that was intentional, and I knew what I wanted to do. But once I got up here to Richford and I was, just going to school myself and working on finishing my senior year, I had a paraeducator come to me and say, hey, we're looking for more people in the after school programs, and I think you'd be a good fit. If you're interested, let me know. She's like, and my boss will send you an email. And so I went home and thought about it, and then I messaged her and I was like, yeah, I'd love to try that out. And that was a really good opportunity given to me.
Great. Reagan? Melody?
I agree with both of them, but I think it's very specific to what you want to do. Like there's a big difference between me being like, oh, this teacher was great, so now I want to be a teacher, and like deciding that I want to be an engineer because I haven't met any engineers, if that makes sense. Like personal experience is helpful for a lot of different fields, but sometimes there aren't very many ways for you to actually get information on something until you decide like, oh, I don't know any engineers, but I want to get into this anyway, so I'm just going to look stuff up.
Mhm.
So it's not really like a huge part of it, but it definitely depends on what you want to go into or like how it happens, I guess. If that made any sense.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thank you. Melody, do you have something you wanted to add in here?
Yeah, so for me, I don't know if like other schools do it, but I'm really grateful for our school's school to work programs because I actually get that personal experience with the dentist and being able to watch it on procedures and interacting with giving me questions or seeing if I remember certain techniques. And it's definitely helped me kind of have a larger view of the whole field, and it's made me want to delve more into it because of that program. I know other kids at our program go to like hair school or to the hospital to observe patients and whatnot. So it's definitely helped me. And I think if other schools aren't doing it yet, they should be because it's really helpful for students to see into those specific careers because I feel like a lot of students go into college thinking they want to do something and not having that experience like us. And then they end up finding out later down the road that they really don't like that job. So I think for me, it's definitely helped in that aspect of seeing what I want to do.
Awesome. Hannah.
Yeah, because my interest is more of like a subject and less of a specific job, it's been a little bit tricky to see exactly what I want to do with that. And again, like I decided that I liked history and that I liked leadership through classes, not necessarily specific teachers, but ways specific teachers introduced the subject to me. And so with finding out that I enjoyed history and that I enjoyed leadership, I was able to apply myself for certain programs that fit into that section. So my VSAT counselor reached out to me about NSLC, National Student Leadership Congress. And that's something that when I got accepted into it, I loved doing because it fit right into what I wanted to do. But it's not something that I would have been able to do without this. And other programs, even like my school student council and my other school leadership groups, unless you already know that you want to be a part of that, it's harder to get going with it. And I think that that can be tricky. I think it should be introduced sooner, and possibilities of that should be introduced sooner.
Leah, if you don't mind, I'm just curious because there's such a need in our state for nursing. Can you speak a little bit about how you kind of felt like that track was the right track for you?
So in sophomore year, we took biology, and that really kind of opened my eyes to what I really wanted to do. Because if you had asked me 3 years ago what I wanted to do when I got to college, I would have told you I wanted to be an English major. So being in biology, it changed everything. And that's when I also decided to apply to Riverbend and go into their health science program. So I think it was just, for some reason, I really connected with biology, and more importantly with like the miracle of life and how life starts. That is fascinating to me, and I absolutely love it.
Awesome. And Bella, you're thinking about architecture. How did you get into that path?
So I really enjoy art. I've enjoyed making art for a long time, but I knew I didn't really want to go into art school specifically because art is kind of personal to me. I don't really share it much. So I looked at majors that would have a use for creativity and that would encompass my hobby, but wouldn't be so focused on just the art itself. So I also realized I like design and structure and all that kind of stuff. So I looked towards architecture and engineering.
Awesome. Well, I'm looking around, see if anybody wants to chime in. Otherwise, I'm going to, oh, go ahead, Jasmine.
I just wanted to say that I think a lot of it has to do with the school that you go to. My middle school that I went to, we did a lot of hands-on projects. We built sleds, we built bottle rockets, and like fun team projects like that. That like we had to put our heads together and figure it out. Now at the academy, I'm currently in an engineering class, and granted, the teacher, it's the first time she's ever done a class like this because I think it's new in our system. Nobody's really like thought of it. It's more like writing down vocab, getting a lecture. We haven't like done any projects, and so I asked her, I'm like, "Are we going to do any hands-on projects like building like a sled again or anything like that?" And there's nothing in the syllabus, and that's the whole part of engineering that I like. Um, and actually, we just did a unit on architecture. So I thought that was really funny that Bella said that, which it's great. It's fascinating. It's just a completely different aspect. So I think it really depends on the teacher and the school and the way they teach and the things that they teach, what people will like find they like and what to do.
Awesome. So I'm going to throw out one more question. It looks like we have at least one of the legislators that would like to join us. So what I'd say, if anybody on the legislative side, our elected officials would like to join this, just kind of put your hand up and Beth will promote you to panelists. I'm going to throw one more question at our students while we're moving some people around. And this is a challenging one, but as you guys kind of thought about your career paths, at least your initial career paths, because we know the world's a little bit, you may not have just one career at the end of the day. When you think about the cost of continuing your education and the career income that you might gain from that career, how do you think through that return on investment, that kind of investment in yourself to get that career and how that's going to pay off over time? At VSAC, right, we think about this all the time, but it's much more important to hear how you think about it. So let me start with Reagan and then Braden, and then we'll see who else raises their hands.
I don't know if you guys knew this. I don't think teachers are paid that well or like well enough. And that's like one of the only like reasons I'm hesitant about like teaching, because another thing, I don't know if you guys knew this, college is pretty expensive. Found that out. That's unfortunate. I think if I was interested in a different career that wasn't as like, I think teaching is really important. So I feel like if I'm not getting paid that much, that's fine as long as I can make a living. But my like main motivator is to like make a difference instead. Like money would be nice. That would be very nice. But I guess I'm thinking about how college is really expensive, but eventually I'll pay it off, and eventually it'll pay off because I'll be a teacher and I'll love my job. So I just don't want to hate my job.
There you go. Awesome. Braden?
Yeah, I think Reagan said it really well. Like it's going to cost a lot of money to go to college, but if I can save life or save property, I think it's all worth it in the end. And I think going to college is the best decision.
Thank you. Melody. And then
Yeah,
Charlie.
so coming from someone whose family doesn't make a large income, costs are definitely going to be a factor in my college career path. But I do think like with what I want to go for, it kind of pays itself in the end, because dentistry is a very a lot of medical fields, they pay a lot more, which isn't the only reason why I want to go in that field. Like I have personal reasons and like I've been on site, but I definitely think college is like a big deal nowadays because a lot of people are looking for certifications and whatnot with more jobs that are coming up. So I think college is definitely important, but it's also very expensive. So it's kind of like, and especially depending on the job you're going for, it might not pay itself back. So it's kind of hard, I feel, for students who are looking at a job they might be interested in. Like Reagan was saying, teaching, it doesn't pay as much. So I feel it would definitely be harder to pay off student loans and make a living, which sucks, I feel, for some students because they're going to be struggling with paying back loans and then trying, say, for other things like credit. buying a car if they can't pay back their student loans is going to be very difficult. So I feel like the whole college cost right now is kind of difficult for students to decide what job they want to go into and what they are really dreaming of doing. And I just feel like it's kind of just difficult in general looking at that. I hope that made sense.
It did. Thank you. Charlie, you had something? I think you raised your hand.
Yeah, to add on to that, so I feel like without scholarships, college would definitely be hard to pay for. I mean, there's student loans, and that's good and all, but I feel like you'd be paying them off for a long time. But I feel like despite that, it really is worth it, especially if you're getting a job you enjoy doing, even if it doesn't necessarily pay a lot. I feel like that discouraged me, but it's not something I want to let discourage me.
Thank you, Charlie. You were breaking up a little bit there, but I think we got the essence of it. Hannah, what were you going to share with us?
Yeah, I agree with Charlie. I'm relying a lot on merit scholarships that I've been given for the colleges I've gotten into so far. So that's going to be a big spot in where I where I do decide to go, as well as loans existing. For me, college is a big part of planning my future because I don't have a job specifically in mind yet. So I think that I am going to pay attention a lot to fields in which I can make more money maybe, but inevitably agreeing with everybody else and just going with where I can make the most difference and be happiest is the most important thing to me.
Thanks, Hannah. Jasmine?
I think there was a point in my life where I was like you've worked hard, like you worked your tail off, like you have to make it pay off at some point. And like for me, I have to pay for college all by myself. And an older friend I know, she got accepted, got to college, and she just realized like there's no way that she was able to pay for it. And so like I didn't want that kind of like obstacle, like to have to go through that kind of obstacle. So I was willing to do like everything I can to try and get through it. And obviously equine is really what I want to do. But with that, I know I'm going to have something else under my belt. Otherwise, I won't be financially stable at all throughout my life. And so that's when I was like you have to pick something, and hopefully if I can make it through engineering, because like math is hard. But oh yeah, something like that, something that'll really like get you through, because the financial piece is huge, a lot more than people think.
Thank you, Jasmine. With this little pause, I think Representative Peterson had a question, at least he got his hand up. Do you have a question for our panel?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Leduc. First of all, I just want to say, every time I interact with young people in a format like this, I'm always blown away. Kids are great, and you folks have a lot to look forward to, and I applaud you for the thoughts you're giving to your career and everything. This is just marvelous, and thank you, Braden, for inviting me. I appreciate that. My question is, and I'll preface it by saying, and I notice Representative Marcotte on here too, and I'm sure he would chime in. We are facing a tremendous workforce shortage here in Vermont. And with all that you've said, let me just ask a question. Do you plan to go to college and come back here to work and live? And if not, what would it take to get you back here?
Megan?
I'm definitely going to school in Vermont. I'm not entirely sure if I'd stick around after, because there are a lot of states here that are cheaper to live in. And if I'm already going to be paying off college forever, then I'd probably want to find a place where I can live comfortably and not have to like struggle with paycheck to paycheck as much as I would be, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
If I could find a good job, though, I would love to stay in Vermont because it's a nice state and it's a nice place. But thinking of financial stability, I think that's important. So I guess it depends.
Thanks, Megan. Braden, I think you had your hand up too.
Yeah, after I finish my college career, I would like to come back here and work in either Burlington or Rutland or any of the major cities in Vermont where I could be on a full-time department. It's just hard to find a job, especially I feel like for firefighting. I've been looking around. There's not a lot of openings in like close to me. I would have to travel either out of state or even to other countries to find.
Melody?
So for me, I've lived in this very small town next to Canada for close to 10 years of my life. So I definitely think I'm going to be looking at possibly moving somewhere else after my college career path. Not because I think it's a horrible state or anything, but I definitely want to experience more like the city life kind of, because where I live, we don't even have a Walmart. Our closest Walmart is like an hour away. So there's not as many opportunities for us, I feel. I do think going out more broad, so like maybe more the Burlington area, there's more opportunities. But if I'm looking more as in my town, I'm probably am going to be moving away from it just because there aren't as many opportunities in this area. It's kind of difficult to find a job you might like and be able to be successful in it, because a lot of places won't be successful here because there isn't a large enough population to support those types of businesses.
Thank you, Melody. Bella?
So I definitely want to go to school here in Vermont, especially with the uncertainty of the world right now. I decided that's where I wanted to be so I could be close to my family. But I definitely want to see the world at some point. And I'm hoping that my career will kind of take me to other places, especially with them being so broad and being able to go other places.
Thank you, Bella. Hannah?
Yeah, I'm really interested in going to school here, but I'm also interested in the idea of going to school in Washington. I think that that would be really cool, and I've applied for some schools up there that I'm going to hear back from soon. Like I said, traveling is a really big thing for me. It's something that I've always really wanted to do, and I would really like to be a part of my life. But depending on what schools I go to and the programs that I'm accepted into, I could see myself really enjoying coming back to Vermont and working in some sort of legislator position or running for that through people that I've known and just positions that have been available to me. I personally went to elementary school with some of the higher people in legislators' children, and I've just been able to see a little bit about that and just know people more, and it's something that I'm really interested in. So I don't think I would necessarily find myself back living in Brattleboro, but I could see myself living in Vermont again.
Thanks, Hannah. Jasmine?
So I actually, all the colleges I applied for are down south. Like all my family lives in Vermont, but looking at engineering, specifically, I was looking at petroleum engineering, and that's just something that you can't really, I guess, do in Vermont. I wouldn't say it's impossible, but I would have definitely more of a chance down south at like getting a good career, and I guess more opportunities down there. Yeah.
Go ahead, Charlie.
I think I will stay in Vermont, specifically Franklin County schools, because there are a lot of needs for teachers in my small town and community, and I feel like if I followed through, I would get a good job that could sustain me somewhat, and that I could have for a long time. And at the end of the day, it's not just about the job, but the people I'd be teaching if I got the job as a elementary school teacher. And education's always been important to me, and so I feel like it's also important to teach it to others.
Thank you, Charlie. And I grew up in Franklin County, so I'm happy to hear that you're going to stay there and help that community continue to thrive. Any other questions from our representatives or our senator? Representative Marcotte?
Thank you, Patrick. Thank you to all the students, and congratulations on your career choices. I chair House Commerce and Economic Development, and I think as Representative had said before, we workforce is a huge issue that we're trying to deal with, and there's only so many things that we can do as the state. But what we are trying to do, looking long term, is figure out the where our career technical centers fit into education. So it's not always a college path that everyone takes. They may take another path of becoming an electrician, a plumber, or other things that are there. And so we are, I guess we're wondering, number one, from you is, were you aware of the Career Center and the ability for you to take courses there? And number two, do you feel that it's too late by the time you're in 10th or by the time you're in 11th or 12th grade to be able to access the Career Center? And do you think it should be, we should allow you to be able to access the Career Center much earlier so that it gives you more of an, it gives you the ability to look at all things, all different careers that are out there, not just what is taught in college, but what is taught at the career centers as well.
Thank you, Representative Marcotte. Reagan, you had your hand up quickly.
So in Enosburg, we have Cold Hollow Career Center, and there were a lot of us went, like a lot of students went. I didn't, because I wasn't interested in anything that was there, but they made all of us go to a class, I think it was in 10th grade, that was called PACE, where we learned about other options, but including college, but beside college, like involving the Career Center and like different ways we could get involved and not have to pay a lot of money for college. And we learned about every like program that was in the Career Center. So everyone in Enosburg were very aware of like the trade school options and any alternative other than college, because we were really, honestly, I feel like they taught us more about that than actual college. So I think people definitely know about it, at least in my area. I'm not sure if like in more like city-ish areas, if they're the same, but I know in Enosburg, it was like drilled into our heads, so.
Anybody else on it? Yeah, Leah.
So, like I said before, I am currently a student at Riverbend Career and Technical Center, and I actually toured there like 2 or 3 times. And so, I mean, right off the bat, as soon as I entered Oxbow in 7th grade, we were kind of given the opportunity to know what Riverbend was all about. And I'm pretty sure, at least maybe at that point, it was 9th to 12th grade. Currently in my in health science, it's only, I think, 11th and 12th grade. But yeah, I mean, so I think for some of the other programs, it might incorporate maybe 9th and 10th graders as well, but I'm not really sure. But I wouldn't say it's very too late for most students, because I know even if you don't take it like health science like in junior year, you can still take it senior year, because there's one of my friends actually did that. She's in the program as well, even though she just started it as a senior. So I think they do educate us about it, and there really isn't a point where it's too late to join it. Maybe, you know, if you're thinking about it in the middle of your senior year, it might be too late. But as far as that goes, I mean, there's really not an issue there as far as Riverbend.
Thank you, Leah. Hannah, why don't you go ahead?
Yeah, I agree with Leah. I don't think there's really a time where it's necessarily too late. And to answer your question about the sophomore year, I do think that that's a good time to start that, because I think that the required courses that we see all over all of our schools are really important. What I would say is that I think that everybody at my school, people that necessarily aren't in the Career Center we're all very aware of it, and we're very aware of the classes, or not necessarily specific classes, but things that can be done there. And we always tour our Career Center freshman year. That's a big thing that we do. We tour our schools and we tour the Career Center. But I think something that could be beneficial is just reintroducing the classes maybe every year for people, especially after sophomore year or halfway through sophomore year. We personally at my school go to counselors and we schedule our classes. So I think just reteaching, this is what we have at the Career Center, this is what's available to everybody starting now, would be beneficial. And I think a lot of people would take the opportunity if that was given.
Thank you, Hannah. Jasmine, if you don't mind, I'm gonna go ahead and call on Senator Kitchell, who's had her hand up, wants to ask this group a question, and then if we have time at the end, we'll come back. Senator Kitchell, thank you for joining us.
Okay, thank you. It's been very interesting, brings back lots of memories. I sort of made some notes about what students have said. See the world, and I guess travel is such an education in and of itself, and we want you to see the world. You come back in a richer place, but that doesn't mean leaving to travel or jobs or whatever. Doesn't mean you don't come back later on, because a lot of people do, and it's a great state and a lot of workforce opportunities. The one thing that comes back, and that is how to get an education that is not going to be a drain on you financially for years and years to come. And that gets into really the work of VSAC in terms of the assistance that you're provided, in terms of not only the financial assistance, but also the options of the colleges or the certificate programs that you might want to consider, and then before you make a decision. I was wondering if you could speak, and we've tried to put more emphasis on students earlier on in middle school and think about aspirations at that point. And I was just wondering if any of you could speak to your own personal experiences in terms of how you have benefited from the support and the information and the encouragement that you have been provided, maybe even in middle school on, to pursue higher education. And the only thing I would say is, you know, you may have an idea of what you want today, but that may not be where you want to end up. A lot of us ended up in very different places because you discover and have an experience that opens up a whole different world. So anyone who would expect you to have your life all plotted out at this point, I don't think you would want that, and because it precludes so much of what is out there. But I was wondering if you could speak to the experience you had with your connection with the VSAC counselor.
I think Hannah, and then Braden, and then Reagan, and then we'll see who else.
And Hannah, I'll tell you, I was a history major too, and it really, it's a wonderful foundation. I mean, it really truly is liberal arts. And so I was interested in your interest as well as your interest in politics and leadership. So appreciate hearing from you.
Thank you. Yeah, for me, VSAC, I have been in since middle school, and it's been a huge support, especially throughout the pandemic for me. My counselor, Holly, has met with me many times on Zoom and other ways, and she's introduced a lot of really cool programs to me. So that's been some of the biggest stuff. Is I was given the opportunity, I said earlier, to apply for National Student Leadership Congress and also the Governor's Institute through Holly, both of which I was accepted to, and truly changed my life. They were the best programs that I've ever been a part of, and something that I take with me going into college, and I brought back to all of my classes that I've been doing. A really big thing that she's helped with is figuring out financial aid as well as schools that I may want to go to. She's been a really big support in getting to know me as a person, and she's actually the person that recommended maybe applying to George Washington or American in Washington. And because of that help, I've realized that that's something that those are two schools that I'm really interested in, and I think would be awesome for me to go to and just learn more about politics before I hopefully come back here. So it's just been a huge help to me.
Thanks.
Thank you. Braden?
Yeah, I've had my counselor. I met him a year ago now. His name's Nathan Hickey, and he's been with me for the year now of the ups and downs and trying to figure out what I really wanted to do. And he's helped me with my FAFSA, which was so confusing, and all of the financial aid stuff, and also just being there if I needed somebody just as a support. It's been great. And now that I've found my trajectory and where I want to go, it's awesome. I just see everything unfolding in front of me.
Awesome. Thank you, Braden. Megan?
My VSAC counselor, Kate, is very helpful. I've been in VSAC since 5th grade. I didn't know what it was until like freshman year. I don't know why they told us in 5th grade, but they did. She was very helpful in terms of early college because I was told about it, but I never considered it as an option until she brought it up again, because I wasn't told like in detail, like this is what you're gonna do. This is how it would affect your like senior year, and this is why it's a great idea. No one really told me about that. So once she kind of like informed me that it was a possibility and we like talked about it and I applied, it's the best decision I have ever made. So shout out to Kate, I guess. She's also very helpful in scholarships, and every question that like I should ask, like you would think I would ask my guidance counselor, but I just feel like it's easier to like ask Kate because she's so like accessible and very helpful throughout this entire process. So she's been very helpful.
Right.
Thanks, Reagan. Oops, sorry. Go ahead, Melody.
So whenever I get asked this question, I always had the same answer. I know that I would not be where I am now if it wasn't for VSAC. I actually didn't join VSAC until last year at the very end of the year. And I'd heard of it, but I wasn't like completely aware of what it was. And it really definitely started to help me in the beginning of my senior year. My counselor is Dylan. And what helped me the most is he was always
Dylan
there.
Bertolini? Was it Dylan
Yes.
Bertolini?
Yeah. So like if I ever had a question, like he'd make himself available right away. Even if he couldn't be there in person for a meeting, he'd always make himself available for a Zoom call. Very helpful in the aspect of like any questions I had, because I ask a lot of questions for clarification, and he's always there, able to help. And VSAC is just, we have our guidance counselor, but VSAC kind of takes it to the next level for me personally anyways. And it's just, I know I wouldn't be where I am without it in the aspect of college. I know when the FAFSA came out, I did it right away. And I'm just like, I'm always aware of what I need to do because Dylan definitely helps me check in where I am and make sure I'm where I need to be in the aspect of college planning.
Bella.
I haven't been in VSAC that long either, maybe like 2 years, but similar to Melody and Reagan, I find my counselor for VSAC to be much more supportive and easier to go to ask for questions. And it's just been helpful for like filling out the FAFSA and looking at schools. I actually got to visit through VSAC, which is really nice because it's different than looking online and virtual tours. So VSAC has been very helpful.
Thank you. Go ahead, Jasmine.
I agree with what everyone said so far. I think I first started VSAC in 7th grade. Mr. O'Farrell had us signing up for this program. We had to create a password that we would remember. And like, I didn't think it was that important, I guess. And then come my 8th grade year, there was a leadership camp at Northern Vermont University. And they encouraged me and my friend to go to that, and we went to that. And that was a really eye-opening experience because I didn't realize how much it was to like be a leader, and they really stressed on what that was. And coming from like a small school at first, that was my first like interaction with like other kids outside school. So it was a really like eye-opening part of it. As far as the FAFSA, as soon as I hit my senior year, Trish, she's my counselor, we had a Zoom meeting, and you're gonna get a notebook. This is gonna have all your passwords. You need to sign up for the FAFSA by this date, this one by this date. And that was so helpful. I have people attending the same on like a college app called Zini saying, I just did my FAFSA on the last day. And I'm so glad that like Trish has helped me get through that. When I first signed up for the FAFSA, there was a problem. So I called Trish. She was at my school. She was standing behind me while we were trying to figure it out, and we got through it. She was right there the whole time. And about 2 weeks ago, I just took a college visit. As soon as I was done the visit, I immediately was texting Trish, asking her, telling her about the college, telling her about the financials, trying to figure out options. And it's just been so helpful, and I wouldn't have known any of it, how to do it by myself, and I wouldn't have gotten this far or being able to do it financially at all.
Thank you very much, Jasmine. Charlie, and then I want to check in with Representative Austin to see if she had a question.
So I came to Vermont without my family now, and so I didn't really know many people.
Charlie, if you can hear me, we can barely hear you. You're breaking up quite a
went to Bridgeford Junior Senior High School, and one of the first things that happened was my school librarian got me in touch with VSAC with my counselor, Miss Michelle Leger, and she's really been a big help at letting me know my op.
Thank you, Charlie.
Can you hear me now?
Just a little bit. Why don't we? I appreciate your
Is
time,
this
Charlie.
better?
Try now.
Hello?
Charlie, we'll come back. We'll come back to you, see if we can get a little better connection. Representative Austin, did you have a question you wanted to pose to the panel?
Yeah, I would. Thank you. First, I just want to say thank you to VSAC and thank you to the students for taking time out to meet with us. Really appreciate it. I'm just wondering about I'm on the education committee, which is K-12 and then post-secondary education. And I'm just wondering if
Can you hear me now?
Just 1 second, Charlie. Hang on, we'll come back to you.
I'm just wondering if this could maybe talk about, it sounds like VSAC was extremely helpful to these students, you know, in terms of narrowing down kind of their path post-secondary. But I'm wondering if they could name maybe 1 or 2 qualities, either in people or in their teachers or in their schools, that help to guide them and help them to be a little bit more clear about their relationship between school and the skills and knowledge they were working on in school and their futures.
You Representative Austin, and Braden had his hand up before you even finished the question, so
Oh,
he's
and,
got something.
and Braden, I do want to say I was a member of the Williston Fire Department for 3 years, and I'm just so thrilled that you may be coming back to Vermont to serve us. So thank you.
Yeah, I hope I can get a job somewhere in Vermont. That's my plan. But definitely somebody that's really influenced my direction is the chief of Rutland City, Billy Lovett. He's definitely helped me and guided me in a good direction, as well as the chief of Clarendon, where I currently volunteer, Matt Jacobowski. They both really have been driving forces in getting me to the next level and seeing like potential that I can do this job and like actually believing in myself, because it's just not easy to just run into a burning building when everything's going crazy and you have to go in there. It's just something you have to work on and train for, and it's nice that people push me to be the best I can.
Thank you.
Anybody else have a thought?
I think definitely my boss has helped me a lot more than I would have in school, as far as getting to like, I don't know horses. Like I wouldn't have learned like how to put a, I don't know, give a shot in like the jugular or something like that. Also like outside of actual horse stuff, she's helped me look at colleges and know what to expect from colleges, and she's talked to me about the FAFSA too as well. So my boss has had a lot of influence on me as well.
Thank you.
Melody?
I know for me, a lot of my teachers have had a big influence because I'm from a small school, so we don't have many students, so that we're very kind of close knit with our teachers. So they're always kind of checking up on us and asking us how we're doing with the whole college process. And they're very supportive in that aspect. They're always like telling us their experiences and kind of giving us advice to push us in the right direction when it comes to college. I know my math teacher was very helpful with that kind of stuff. She wrote me letters of recommendation and was always just like giving us advice in the college path. And like if we brought up our careers that we were looking into, she'd kind of like give us advice on that. And it was, a lot of our teachers are very helpful because they know us more personally as to a school that might have more students and they might not have as strong relationships with them.
Thank you.
Reagan?
So the main motivator for me wanting to go into the education field to become a teacher was like the influence that a specific teacher had on me. And at the time, it was just how like helpful he was in like me like keeping my life together and just like figuring it out and like getting through the school year, because I was a mess regardless. Now that I'm like older, I'm still in contact with his teacher, and because he's been teaching for so long, now I'm able to like ask him like serious questions and be like, okay, should I really go into this? Like, what are the pros and cons? Like, did you regret it? Did you like it? Like, what's going on? And I found that reaching out to like actual teachers that like have taught me is like really helpful, because they are honest about it. And like now that I'm not being taught by those people, they're actually like really helping me figure out like, do I want to do this, or is this just like a good idea that I think is a good idea and then it's not a good idea? I think it's a good idea. I just want to point that out, but like, you know what I'm trying to say.
Thank you.
I just want to invite Charlie, who had some challenges that were outside of her control, but she's back with us now, and let's give her one more chance to kind of finish her comments, and then we'll go to.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. So my VSAC counselors really helped me. Like I didn't know VSAC was a thing when I came up to Vermont. Moving up here without my origin family, and not getting to talk to them much, again, support from my parents. So trying to figure out how to pay for college, and because I really do want to go to college, and so I didn't know the opportunities existed. One of my teachers at school got me in with Miss Legere, my VSAC counselor, and we went through FAFSA, grants, scholarships. I turned in my digital art portfolio for one. COVID was a struggle because I got COVID right before deadlines, and I was out for a week before deadlines, and that was a struggle getting everything turned in on time. But with my counselor, my college counselor, and my school counselor, my VSAC counselor and my school counselor, I was able to pull through and get everything turned in by the deadline and gathered, and that was really big for me, and it helped me a lot.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Charlie, for fighting through the technology. Your voice is really important. Thank you very much. Representative Peterson, I think, and I will say this to our panelists and anybody, we booked this from 3:30 to 4:30. It's a few minutes past. A lot of us have obligations. I don't. I can stay as long as we want to, but some of our students may have obligations as well. So if you need to roll out, please do not feel bad about that. Take the time if you need it. Other than that, Representative Peterson.
Oh, I was just going to ask, and I don't want to hold up anyone, certainly, but I wondered among your classmates at your school, what the feeling is in terms of college, no college, tech school, use of VSAC. What are you hearing among your friends about that, if anything? Just curious about the student body population in general, or the senior class in general.
Hands come up again. Okay, we'll start with Melody.
So at my school, I feel like it's split between 50-50 between trade school and also college, because I know a lot of people from around where I live, they like to work on cars, and like electricians are interested in that kind of stuff. And then I'd say the other half are very interested in kind of getting out there and getting a college education. I know a lot of people from my school are looking into the medical field and kind of making a difference, whether that's in their community or more out into the world in that aspect. So I think a lot of students from my school are definitely looking to further their education, regardless to what they're looking into. I think a lot of them are finding it very important to get that education, to get a job that they're really interested in.
Thank you. Let me go to Leah first. I saw her raise her hand physically, not the virtual one.
So I have heard among some of my peers, especially in health science, that they're planning on going to either community college or a local college in the state. I have heard of a few who have been wanting to go to other universities elsewhere, but that's about it. And I know there are still others who plan to just jump right into working after graduation. So that's just some of the things that I've been hearing around my peers.
Thank you, Leah. Braden.
Yeah, I feel like Mill River, there's not a lot of people that are prepared. So a lot of them are going directly into the workforce and not looking for other options because they get scared of the price tag of college. And I feel like it's kind of a shame, but also it's their choice and their decision. So I support whatever they do, but I feel like if they had more education in college or in the technical schools, it would just be better off. Just more just like teaching of other options besides just going right into the workforce.
Thank you, Braden. Reagan?
I'm kind of similar to Braden. I'm not like actually in my high school this year because I am doing early college, but I think I can say this because it's been the same opinion for everybody for like 4 or 5 years now. Enosburg is also very like focused on going right into the work field or doing trade schools. Like a lot of people are gonna choose like trade schools over like the traditional like college like journey because price tag and because Cold Hollow is so like popular in our school, a lot of the students do go to the career center. So I think it's just easier for people to like take that route instead of college. There are definitely people who are going away to like, well, not really going away, but like going to UVM or somewhere in New York. I've heard multiple people do that, but I think like the main goal for a lot of the kids in my grade are goals are either to like go right out of high school into the workforce or go to a trade school for like a year and then continue on with their career instead of committing to like the 2 or 4 year college experience.
Thank you, Reagan. So let's do this. I'm going to call on Charlie, who has something you want to add. Then I'll rotate back to Hannah, and then I'll maybe do a closing and give people some of the rest of their day. And then I want to give Representative Marcotte an opportunity to restate verbally what he offered in the chat as well for everybody to hear in case anybody missed it. Charlie.
So I hear of a few kids wanting to be teachers, not really very many, which I wish there were a few more, but you know, is what it is. But most of the time, like I bring up what I want to do in my classes, I hear some kids say, oh, I never work with children, or I don't do well with kids, and I'm like, that's all right, and people just have preferences. But then I hear some kids that are just like, oh, I'm not going to college, or oh, I want to drop out, and I'm like, well, why would you do that? You only have a few more years. But I feel like I hear that a lot, and it kind of is influenced by some people's families, maybe, like if their parents haven't finished college. And so my mom has gone back to college to finish, to be a medical sonographer, and seeing her do that really inspired me. And I feel like it's helped me make the decision that I do want to go to college.
Awesome. Thank you, Charlie. Hannah.
Yeah, we do have some people doing trade school and jumping into the workforce, but at my school, we do have a lot of people planning on going to college next year. And I can see that through some of the cool things that we had this year was one of the teachers at my school offered an ACE time, which is just a 45-minute block of time that we have every day. And you can sign up for specific teachers. And she offered a essay writing help book. So she gave us a big packet on how to write your college essays. And then we had a lot of teachers that were happy to work with us privately and or in ACE groups. And that was a really big support that the school had that we didn't have last year. I have heard some struggles from students about how the pandemic and just lack of support is at the school throughout the college process. But I haven't heard that from other of my friends that are in VSAC.
Thanks, Hannah. Jasmine, you get the last word on this one.
I just wanted to add that, so at the academy, there's people going into the military, the workforce, the trades, but we really do push college, maybe a little bit too much. I know it really depends on your grades at the academy. As far as me, my guidance counselor, I wanted to take an auto class, but based on my grades and I guess maybe a little bit of my career path, like I had to take a language and I had to take another math. So like I wasn't able to take an auto class or a culinary class, and I can't cook, so that'd be a really great life skill. But I was pushed that math class. So I guess it's really what your grades are, is what they really push on you. But we have all areas, which is really cool though.
Thanks, Jasmine. I appreciate that, and I appreciate all of you. You know, this is a lot to ask, to chime in and talk about your journey. It's very personal choices that you're making, and your ability to kind of share with us your intentions and your thinking on this and your journey is hugely helpful as we try to help, you know, you and we help others in Vermont, and the legislators try to improve our systems in Vermont. So to our panelists, huge thank you. Can't imagine a better group of people to share their thoughts. Just really, really grateful. And as I said, let me just give Representative Marcotte the opportunity. You offered something in the chat. I just wanted, if you could just offer that verbally so nobody misses it.
Sure. Thanks, Patrick. So I offer all of our panelists that were on today to join my committee at some point in the next few weeks to kind of chat with us, chat with the committee, to have a discussion similar to this, where my committee members, there's 10 others committee members, to ask you questions and pick your brain on how things were for you as you advance through the grades, and which will help us better understand what we need to do and how we can better help future students through their pathway and getting into either college or into a career, another career path through the CTE centers. And I think what we want to make sure doesn't happen is that students that are graduating have no direction on where they want to go, and you know, just jumping into the job world without any skill sets. So we want to make sure that if people do want to jump into the job world, that they do have some skill sets that they've been able to get through the high school, through the career center, hopefully. So again, maybe Patrick, we can work with you to set that up. We need to know the time of day that's best for all of you to join us. And then, I can have my committee staffer touch base with you and see what we can set up, if that would work.
That sounds good. We'll work with our outreach counselors who are interfaced to these amazing students, and I'll reach back out to you, Representative Marcotte, and we'll find a way to make some version of that work.
Great. That sounds great. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And thank you, Representative Peterson, Representative Austin. Senator Kitchell had to leave us. This has been a great conversation. Panelists, again, big thank you. Your words and your thoughts are so important for us to hear. So I'm deeply grateful for your time. Thank you very much, and have a great afternoon.